is Reds versus Whites here at the Allianz Stadium. And let's see who the first players are going to be. And off we go, the ball has bounced, and I'm not sure the Whites were quite ready for that, but it's brought under control, and we can start the game here, and it will be the Whites in control. Now, I have to say, the streamers all unanimously received a great cheer, and that is exactly the kind of play that we're going to be seeing from all of them. Iker Casillas comes out calmly and collects the ball.
Yes, Simon, and this is slightly different to what we've seen before. There's no staggered start here. It is just a 10-minute match, and there are no secret cards. We will see a presidential penalty, though, and I believe Del Piero is slated to take that, so one to watch, certainly, him from 12 yards.
Iker Casillas plays the ball long, headed away, and collected here by Off Samuel, the co-president of Black Lotus FC.
You have to feel slightly sorry for these players. You know, they've not played football, as far as we're aware, to any sort of real level, and yet they're going to try and score goals against Buffon on the one side, Casillas on the other, two World Cup winners and two legends of the game.
But in many ways, it's a childhood dream that's coming through for many of them. That's good play. Still going. Casillas. Very nearly a goal there by Pierino.
Indeed, yeah. Z.W. Jackson, is it? Leaning back and firing it over the top. There's a couple of players with a similar hairstyle to Pirlo, so one to avoid mis-IDing. There's Pirlo, though. You can tell just from his gait, can't you, the way he carries himself, that you know exactly who it is, just from the way he wanders around the pitch.
Of Samuel had the shot blocked. In fact, from up here, looks like Andrea Pirlo's never stopped playing football. Same hairstyle, still carrying the same grace. Now the strike, and Buffon down smartly.
Yeah, nice try there from Miguel Layún. So there are good players on display, and when you saw someone strike that, you could tell it was the hit of a former player, Miguel Layún, a former Mexico international, but Buffon down sharply at his near post. He won't want to concede here on his old stomping ground where he won so much with Juventus.
It is true that Iker Casillas looks a little bit more relaxed than Gianluigi Buffon, who had that very long message for the Italian team during the Kings World Cup Nations and the game before Spain. Here's another strike, and Casillas stretching out a hand but not needing to touch it over.
That's what you get, though, with Buffon. You got longevity during his playing career, so it's only natural that his video message would be long as well. And he played the game until recently.
It opens up here. The pass wasn't given. That should be offside, and it is offside.
Yeah, Z.W. Jackson again. He looks a threat there, wearing 14. Dare I say it, Simon, this Legends Against Streamers match is pretty much in keeping with what we saw in the first half between Brazil and Colombia. It's tight, no goals thus far. Someone needs to try and get the better of two of the best goalkeepers we've ever seen.
Off Samuel, might be one of the players. He's looking lively. Good ball control shown by him. Now the strike, and Buffon holds on to it. This time Manuzzo, one of the Italian presidents, letting go.
And the problem is, Casillas and Buffon had the careers they did. Here's a chance, though.
Yeah, big chance here for Sergio Cruz. Oh, he's put Casillas on his backside, and that is something that he will remember for all of his life. Sergio Cruz.
Yeah, the co-president for Black Lotus FC. He hasn't just scored past Casillas, he has embarrassed Casillas. What about this? Dummying the shot, Casillas committed, and Casillas even applauding the attempt there from Sergio Cruz to give himself a gaping goal.
Off Samuel looking for an immediate response here for the Whites. Buffon in the way, doesn't let him through. But he's the danger man, isn't he, Patrick?
He is, and he's going to try his luck again here. If he can work the shooting angle, he can!
Well, very, very good finish from a tight angle for Off Samuel there. The number 10 for the white team, co-president of Black Lotus. Kings League Italy, which is going to start in the coming months, and there is a lot of anticipation around the start of the Kings League Italy, of which Zlatan Ibrahimovic will be president.
Well, anything you can do, I can match was the case there. There's another effort, this time off the post. Sergio Cruz, one of the co-presidents for Black Lotus. Here's another chance. Buffon gets there, but both co-presidents there scoring at either end of the pitch.
Miguel Layun couldn't believe that his teammate didn't get the ball. Blur there trying the Rabona, and a president penalty called by the white team.
Indeed, so this is the first that this crowd here in Turin, unless they visited us in Milan, are going to see of the presidential penalty. A reminder that this is part of the game. You get to call one and one only attempt from 12 yards, and you can either take it with your president, or if the president is unavailable for selection for whatever reason, you can delegate it. But this is ominous. Pirlo against Casillas. Is it going to be the Panenka? Ask Joe Hart about that.
Well, it would be something special from Pirlo. Is he going to have the audacity? There's a smile there from Casillas. The crowd wants it. Oh, it's off the post from Pirlo.
Casillas expected the Panenka. He stood still and waited for Pirlo. And maybe Pirlo was planning something else and had to change his mind in the end. He's rattled the post. What a shame that is.
Iker Casillas winning the Battle of Wills there. There's going to be a second president penalty, so off Samuel, who's very, very keen, isn't going to be able to compete for the ball. But who's going to take the penalty? It's Blur, I believe, who was on the list. He's one of the Italian national team presidents. Very upset that Italy went out, and he's up against one of his childhood heroes in Gianluigi Buffon.
Yeah, also president for Stallions FC, the Kings League Italy, which is starting very soon. This to take the lead.
Blur to put the Whites in the lead, and he does.
Well, it was all a blur there for Buffon as he went the wrong way. And he celebrates with a former Juventus player and his iconic celebration, Cristiano Ronaldo, and the collective cry of "Sí" from Allianz Stadium.
You can't help but feel a little bit envious, at least I do, Patrick, of being able to do this in front of a crowd of almost 40,000 people. It's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. It would have been nice to have seen what he would have done had he missed the penalty, whether he still would have had the audacity to emulate Ronaldo, but that's what you need to do. Wrong footing Buffon. Casillas was not beaten by Pirlo. The ball hit the post, and Buffon has now been breached twice, and that's why the Whites lead by 2-1.
Maybe we can pitch for the next edition of the Kings World Cup Nations a match between commentators and legends and streamers. That could be something very interesting for everyone, I think, to watch Patrick Kendrick's tackling and shooting skills. Yeah,
I'd like to go between the sticks, though, on this occasion. I'd like to be in goal for when you stepped up for a penalty, and I'd comfortably save it, I think.
Off Samuel, who's been a lively spark for the Whites. This is Miguel Layun, and the skill and class of Layun there to see. Buffon, though, intercepts.
What I love from Buffon is it really reminds you of the former Germany goalkeeper Oliver Kahn. I don't know if you've ever seen that viral video of children taking penalties against Kahn, and he doesn't let a single one of them score, and it's very similar here. Buffon coming off his line to intercept.
Greeted by a massive cheer by the Allianz Stadium, and this is the Uzbekistan team president, number 19 for the Reds, who just had that quick cameo off Samuel once again for the Whites. A little bit of trickery. This is the position from which he scored earlier.
Yeah, Islam, the Uzbekistan president, enjoyed his work this week. He was pretty good from 12 yards as well with those presidential penalties, but I don't know, Simon, what happens if the scoreline ends level after 10 minutes, and it might too if they're able to equalise here.
It is Islam, and he's found the pass, unselfish, and Casillas has been done twice by the dummy in this game.
And it's Alessandro Del Piero.
He'll have enjoyed that, Del Piero.
That's what they came to see. Nostalgic Juventus fans not enjoying the best of current times under Thiago Motta, and they'll be feeling, no doubt, a longing for the likes of Buffon and Del Piero. And much like Sergio Cruz earlier on, the little dummy there, just to knock Casillas off his stride.
You're right to bring up Juventus, because the Bianconeri in this game not having it their way either.
See what you did there? And they're drawing a bit like their first team. Hang on,
Del Piero once again almost getting the better of Casillas, who went straight for goal, trying to emulate Luis Sanchez of Argentina, who scored against Spain in a very similar fashion. And Gianluigi Buffon is going to make way here. The replacement goalkeeper, who is number 12, is bowing down to Buffon.
Yeah, Erfaina.
Oh, number 13 is through my eyesight letting me down there. FC Cesar, co-president, another team that will make its debut in the Italy Kings League.
Must be Roman. Erfaina. Er is the Roman equivalent of il.
Layun with the good pass. Luca Campolunghi trying to find a teammate in the middle. Spurzito it was.
And Simon, it was great to see as well that some of the streamers, when they were introduced pre-match, actually got as big a cheer, if not, dare I say, a bigger cheer than some of the Juventus legends.
Particularly the Italian streamers. That's given away, and it's buried as well. Luca Campolunghi puts the Bianconeri in the lead, and we're treated to a second rendition of the Siu.
We are indeed. You have to feel for Erfaina. He came on to replace Buffon. He actually bowed down to Buffon. He was laying prone on the deck, had his arms outstretched as if to salute Buffon, but he caught that all wrong, and then he was beaten by Campolunghi. And unless they score in the next 40 seconds, the Reds that is, it's going to be a white victory.
Jam looked offside to me, the South Korean president there. Intercepted as well by Christian Tirapelle. Back to Iker Casillas, who, unlike Buffon, is keen to play out the remainder of the game. Here is Jam.
Go on, let's see a shot from the Reds. No, they've given the ball away. I think the Whites might even add a fourth here if the Reds aren't careful. Just as I said, they have given it away. 3v1, don't run offside. Square it, son. He's off, that won't count.
Offside. Saved anyway by Casillas. It was offside. Pirlo and Del Piero making it look far too nonchalant, and Casillas grins. The Reds missed the penalty, missed a clear goal. Well, it's all over here between streamers and legends. It is the Whites who win it 3-2 against the red team. Therefore, the team of Iker Casillas and Miguel Layun who win the game. This a replay here of the save for Iker Casillas. I don't think it crossed the line.
Nor do I, and the flag went up in any case, but Casillas didn't want to be breached. That's what they came to see, not just the Kings World Cup Nations Final, the first ever edition of this competition, but also the likes of Del Piero, Pirlo and Buffon, all of whom impressed. Well, Pirlo less so, missing his penalty. Del Piero on the score sheet, Buffon with some fabulous saves rolling back the years, plus the cameos from Layun and Casillas as well. And great for those streamers to get out there on one of the best pitches in Italy, in one of the best grounds in the Italian game. And Buffon now has to make way for Brazil and Colombia, who will resume with the scoreline at 1 each.
And before handing over back to you, Patrick, just to outline how important the streamers and the presidents are in Kings League football. But it is time for the second half here. It is 1-1 at half-time between Brazil and Colombia. Still everything to play for.
And the players already back out there for the second half. A reminder that the secret cards were drawn before the match by the two head coaches. They can be played almost at any time during the second half. They can't be played after the 38-minute mark, nor indeed can presidential penalties be called beyond the 38-minute mark. Ask the Colombians about that in particular. They fell foul of that ruling in their semi-final against Morocco. It nearly cost them. But the lights are ticking down, and very soon the cannon will launch the ball for the second half, which begins with the scoreline and level. Kelvin Oliveira with the opener for Brazil. Angelo Caro with arguably the goal of the tournament as the equaliser. And we resume here again with 7v7. And immediately it is going to be the Brazilian presidential penalty.
The Colombian
presidential penalty. I apologise.
And just to confirm that the cannon was launched by members of the female and male Juventus senior teams, Yildiz, McKennie and Ko, who got the second half started there, but it will be a penalty now for Colombia and a big chance to get the better of Josildo Barata in this game, Patrick.
Yeah, exactly. Yildiz, who scored in yesterday's Turin derby, Wes McKennie, who we saw earlier on as well this week in Milan, plus Turncoat Maynard's a big money summer signing, Cristina Girelli and Martina Rosucci, who are both Italy internationals as well for Le Azzurre. But a big opportunity now, and it is going to be Colombia with Pelicanger. It is their president. We saw James Rodriguez have one saved as a stand-in president for Colombia earlier on this week. Big pressure. Colombia to take the lead. Put away by Pelicanger. And for the first time tonight, Los Cafeteros lead in Turin. They've come from behind and they're 2-1 up. Pelicanger.
Nets in the quarterfinals, Nets in the semi-finals, and now Nets in the final. And you have no idea how crucial these president penalties are, because now it puts the pressure on the Seleção to respond. Now the Seleção and the Brazilians have decided not to use one of their presidents for a president penalty. It will be a shootout, which so far in the competition, when it has happened, has been Kelvin Oliveira.
It has indeed. Kelvin Oliveira, the leading goal scorer in this tournament. He's scored in every single match, and it's been an astonishing record of goals. Here's a chance for the equaliser for Brazil. And they got in one another's way there. Still a chance. Lipao smashes it over. But Kelvin with 2 in match day 1, 3 in match day 2, 6 in the quarterfinal, and a hat-trick in the semi-final. He has scored a total of 4 hat-tricks across the competition, and he's now also got that opening goal in this final. But as things stand, that goal counts for very little, because Colombia have since scored 2 without reply.
And Colombia, as we saw in the first half, so difficult to beat, so difficult to score against. Camilo Mena has been MVP in 2 of Colombia's 4 games. It says it all from the keeper.
Here's Wembley. Brazil looking to equalise in open play as opposed to immediately turning to their presidential penalty, which would be a shootout. A reminder, 5 seconds to dribble from the centre circle. Lipao trying to open up a shooting angle. He says he was fouled. Again, the referee not interested. Wembley wins it high up the pitch. Shocku. The shot comes in from distance. Kelvin Oliveira. And it's an easy save for Camilo Mena.
A reminder as well that you can only play your president penalty or your secret card before the 38th minute mark. And often the secret cards do carry a time limit of 4 minutes.
Especially if it is something like a player suspension for 4 minutes, or a double goal.
The star player, in contrast, is timeless until that player scores, which could be a beneficial one for Brazil.
Yes, with the green armband, Kelvin's already scored that way this week. Shocku with the flicked header. Another bit of easy handling for Camilo Mena, just buying a few seconds there before picking the ball up. But Colombia, against all odds, are in front. We said they'd be the underdogs, and that seems to be working out well for them so far. Then again, they've already had their presidential penalty. Brazil still have that in store, so it's almost like a game in hand, this situation, isn't it? Yes, Brazil can respond, but Colombia have goals on the board in this instance.
100%, and the pressure is on Kelvin Oliveira, and Kelvin Oliveira hasn't been at his sparkling best so far in the game, missing a couple of chances early on when it was 1v1 and 2v2 in the match.
Brazil have it again there. Wembley taking a tumble. This is Andreas Vaz wearing 10. It's his ball across, and it was a fingertip save, I think, from Camilo Mena. Brazil won the corner, and now the officials do make the decision. We'll never know whether that would have gone in, but it looked very close.
Definitely saved by Camilo Mena. He was appealing that he didn't touch it.
In comes the corner. Headed clear there by Denilson Lobon. And Alexander Rodriguez tried to release Palacios there, unable to find him.
It's disappointing, though, from Colombia's point of view, because they should be doing better. And
a reminder then of Air Asia. Move your favourite travel companion across Southeast Asia. Explore flights, hotels and activities all in one app. Here come Colombia with Julio Pereira. And he just ran out of pitch in the end.
They pushed a little bit too far there, Julio Pereira. But still, he's one of the players alongside Alejandro Ortega that Colombia are going to want to get on the ball as much as possible.
Colombia now sitting deep, understandably so. They're very solid defensively. They have a lead. It's a slender advantage, though, after that successful presidential penalty from Pelican Guerre at the start of the second half. Brazil looking to equalise. The shot, though, from Leleti comes in, and it was easily blocked. And so far, Brazil might be reliant on making things happen in the final 2 minutes of play.
But this is exactly the analysis that we had ahead of the game, which was Colombia had more weapons to hurt Brazil going forwards, but would be just as solid.
For Kelvin Oliveira! His second, Brazil's second, and the top scorer steps up again to make it 2 apiece in Turin.
Cometh the hour, cometh the man here, Kelvin Oliveira. And now it's advantage Brazil because they also have that president penalty to come. Able to run in behind, beautiful ball from Lipao.
A multiple scorer now in every single match in this competition. Kelvin Oliveira, MVP in 4 games from 4, both of Brazil's goal in this final. And he is looking like he's going to again grab the headlines here at the Kings World Cup Nations. 2 each and advantage Brazil now. And Kelvin said he came here to win the competition, to lift the prize, to bring it home to a Nação do Futebol, the footballing nation that is Brazil, and so far he's been true to his word.
Just Vaz goes down there under Julio Pereira's challenge. You do feel that that goal from Kelvin Pereira certainly gives the advantage to Brazil, but he's still going to have to score that penalty shootout. It's not done yet.
Kelvin's taking a breather in the meantime. Andrés Vaz finding Lipao. It was his assist for Kelvin, that lovely diagonal run, and then the ability with one touch to go round the keeper and slot it into an unguarded net. This is why Brazil have been so potent throughout this competition. Kelvin Oliveira, it's now 16 goals for him. They've counted for 20, and he is a repeat offender too when it comes to scoring goals which are worth multiples, be it in the last 2 minutes of play. But, Simon, as things stand, with the scoreline at 2 each, come the 38-minute mark, if it were still level, it wouldn't be goals being worth double. It would be a golden goal scenario, which has already smiled on Colombia. It's how they beat Turkey.
They're coming down from 2-0 in that game against Turkey.
Leleti on the far side with that surge of pace. He's done well here, Leleti! And there's Camilo Mena again. More heroics from the Colombian keeper.
Reacts so quickly as Logan Paul watches on there.
Yep. Jake Paul having fired the cannon earlier on. It's taken short here. Back it goes for Andrés Vaz. Nice trickery from the 10. Was he clipped? He was. Colombia unhappy because they had a 3v1 situation, but there was a clear infringement.
Yeah, it did look like a foul, certainly from where we are. And the replay confirms that clear infringement from Lobon. Never understand why players complain, because everyone's seen it. But he's having a great game as well. Camilo Mena, once again, could be much worse for Colombia.
So too is the match official, Salva Lozano. We had Jorge Faustino keeping tabs on the Streamers Against Legends game, which we saw at half-time, which was that 3-2 scoreline in favour of the team wearing white.
Wellington on, and I think he fancies this right off the bat. He's got a cannon of a right foot, Wellington.
Yeah, big well. He's a particular favourite of Gaules, one of the Brazilian presidents. And it looks like he fancies himself to do what Del Piero used to do time and time again, albeit not much of this ground. It is going to be Wellington. It's saved by Camilo Mena, and I would have preferred to have seen him catch that. Corner conceded.
I agree. Surprised that Camilo Mena chose to palm it away instead of catching the ball.
Taken short by the Brazilians. Here's Wellington tossing it in, and he was ready to finish there, Lipao. It didn't quite reach him, but another Brazil corner, and these are difficult moments for the Colombians.
Yeah, important touch from Julio Pereira, who tracked his marker all the way, did really well.
Andrés Vaz! It did open up for him. Nice short corner taken, and from the edge of the box, you'd ordinarily back him to at least hit the target there.
You can see, though, that Brazil is so reliant on the creativity and the goal-scoring ability of Kelvin Oliveira, because as soon as he goes off the pitch, they don't carry that same threat. Colombia have to exploit those periods when Kelvin Oliveira isn't there to try and get their own goal. Took something quite brilliant from Caro in the first half to get the better of Barata.
Here's Brian Gutierrez, ran into trouble there. Brazil winning all the 50-50s at the moment. That was slightly hurriedly cleared by Davi. Wellington underneath it, well won though by that man again. He's had such a terrific game wearing for Luis Moreno.
There it is, the Brazilian president penalty called to take the lead before both teams play their secret cards.
So, can Brazil, via a shootout presumably with Kelvin Oliveira, take the lead again in this match? It would be a hat-trick for the player wearing 9. It's back with Wembley.
Hat-trick enough for Brazil and for Kelvin Oliveira to take them into the final and past Mexico.
3-1 winners against Obed Martinez et al. Mexico had looked very good as well throughout the tournament, but Brazil want to score from open play before that presidential penalty. Then they'd have a 2-goal cushion. They need to be careful though in possession here. Kelvin taking a chance under pressure from Ortega at Wembley. Here's Kelvin Oliveira again, dropping the shoulder, playing it wide. Leletti now, through it goes. Was he onside? Good goalkeeping. Kelvin is there. And indeed the flag does go up. It wouldn't have counted had the ball crossed the line. And now it is time for the presidential penalty, but it won't be Chris Gates, it won't be Gaules, it won't be Ustejario. All three of those have taken presidential penalties. Instead, it is going to be a shootout. Well, they're actually playing rock, paper, scissors, so not sure whether they've necessarily had second thoughts there, but I think Kelvin is now talking with his teammates, and if they are true to their word, they did reveal that it would probably be a shootout because, Simon, they look a little bit under the weather. They're not feeling their best.
Yeah, they look a little bit ill. They're wrapped up nice and warm there, which is the least they can say. Gaules using the Brazilian flag, but it will be Kelvin Oliveira. He was fouled by Monterde in the game against Mexico. He'll have a chance here.
A big chance for yet another hat-trick in this competition for the Kings World Cup Nations top scorer. The man who might well be crowned the next Corona de Oro. Kelvin Oliveira, of course he buries it. He drills it past Camilo Almeida. 3 goals for Brazil tonight. All 3 have come from that man. The skipper has another hat-trick. He might be going home with the match ball, MVP, and of course, above all, the trophy itself.
Really well taken shootout. Waits until Camilo Mena makes the move and makes himself big and just has enough elevation on the shot to take it over the foot of the Colombian goalkeeper. It means that it is Brazil now who lead 3-2 with 10 minutes remaining, and both secret cards will be played very shortly, you imagine.
Was that a high boot? But astonishing how Kelvin is taken over for the Brazilians. All of their last 7 goals have been scored by the number 9.
That's why Colombia were being physical with him at the start of the game, trying to impress him with Lobon and Palacios Moreno.
Pereira with the long throw. Colombia, they're trying to get the equaliser with Victor Nielsen, Lobon.
We saw that work, though, in other games. Tony Alvarado, other players who were able to get headers on goal. And Patrick, we have just reached a new all-time record of viewers here at Kings League. 3.12 million people watching us at the moment.
And numbers, I'm sure, which are set to rise. Thank you for all your support. It's been a privilege bringing you the first ever edition of the Kings World Cup Nations. We're setting records with every passing match, and it's fitting then that the showpiece final here at Allianz Stadium has set the record. Kelvin now playing provider. In it comes. Dealt with, though.
The Colombians play their Spotify secret card. Now, what is it going to be? Player suspension could be something good for them to get one of the Brazilians out of the mix. A penalty or a shootout would also allow them to draw level.
And surely if it is going to be the player suspension, you have to take off Kelvin Oliveira, albeit there have been times this evening when he has gone off of his own accord to get a breather. He picks his moments, and we've already seen that in terms of his ability to find the net. Colombia looking for an equaliser. Julio Pereira went down too easily. They're shaken ahead from Simon Harding alongside me in the commentary box here.
Yeah, I don't like that, and to be honest, if that's not a foul, then to me that's simulation, and that should be a yellow card for diving. Even if this is Kings League, there's no space for it, and the decision is a suspension.
He called it, Simon Harding. Now surely you have to get Kelvin Oliveira out of the action for 4 minutes, and indeed it's just being communicated to him. He's disappointed because he wanted to play as much as possible in this final, but the official has just relayed the message to Kelvin that for 4 minutes he's now out of action.
A really nice back and forth there with El Pibe, the Colombian head coach. All smiles, of course, joking, but there was never ever a doubt of who was going off once that decision was taken. Now, not only do Brazil play without Kelvin Oliveira, they also play a man down for the next 4 minutes.
So a big boost that for Colombia. They need to try and now make the most of this 7v6 situation. They've got Andres Vaz there waiting in the wings to try and come on. But here's Alejandro Ortega. The question is, if Colombia were to score, could Brazil actually find the net without Kelvin? In it comes towards Daniel. Playing for time here.
The referee's just said stop the time because these seconds are crucial in terms of that player suspension. You can imagine that Brazil, if they can, will try and waste as much time as possible during the next 4 minutes so that they don't have to play a man down in terms of the time of the game. I'm curious to know what secret card Brazil have, because they've had double goals and the star player on a few occasions. You feel Colombia maybe, Patrick, might need 2 in the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, because when we get to the final 2 minutes of play, unless the scoreline is level, and at the moment Brazil have the edge, goals would count for double, which, when you're trailing, in theory, works well, because you know that if you can score in one fell swoop, you go from trailing to suddenly leading. However, when you're up against Brazil, with the likes of Kelvin Oliveira, by then his suspension will have elapsed. You are playing with fire, knowing that if you concede, any goal counts double. So Colombia will want to equalise. There's Turncoat Mainers, Gerard Piqué, Kenan Yildiz and Wes McKennie, the Juventus stars there. And Gerard Piqué sporting that iconic Danone, or Danone as they say here in Italy, that Juventus shirt. What a beauty that is. I'd love to get my hands on one of those. But a reminder that if you need some motivation for the new year, go and check out our KWCN playlist made by your favourite players and streamers.
Do love a good playlist.
You do. I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't hear some of your tunes on the drive down from Milan to Turin a bit earlier on. Maybe we can have some of that. Get this party started, which we've heard all week at the Kings World Cup Nations. There's a couple of songs in particular that are stuck in my head, as are those tunes from Mahmoud as well. We enjoyed his performance pre-match.
Really good performance. Crowd reacting well to Mahmoud. San Remo, of course, for him.
That's clever skill from Alejandro Ortega. And when he relied on composure, he couldn't find it.
Do you think he should square that? Should he be putting that across? He absolutely mystifies his man. And it's a wild, wild swipe at the ball.
It's a shame because the drop of the shoulder was so smooth. He absolutely danced his way past the Brazilian defender, but when he required a cool head, Alejandro Ortega, who, by the way, scored a golden goal to beat the Turks, this time around he couldn't get the better of Barata, and it's still Brazil who have the edge. They lead by 3 goals to 2 because of a hat-trick from Kelvin Oliveira. Once again, he single-handedly grabbed all the goals for a Canarinha. But now Colombia looking to make something happen in the final third. Good defending as well from Brazil. Chefinho making the challenge.
Minute 40 on that player's suspension remaining. Barata once again goes to grounds.
And we already heard Ancelot Caro speaking in his native Spanish to Salva Lozano, and the referee said, Ancelot, let me deal with it. They feel that the goalkeeper is going down to try and waste time. The clock has been stopped though, and now it's kicking off. Well, try and tell people that Kings League doesn't mean much. It means so much to these players, and it's all kicking off now. Andreas Vaz in particular, with Alexander Rodriguez, who's always got plenty to say for himself.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a...
There's a little bit of
a weight difference as well, but I tell you what, this smiles to Colombia because both players are receiving a 2-minute sin bin, which means that Brazil are now 4v5 outfield players. This could be big for Colombia in the next minute and a half. Andreas Vaz, he's also got plenty of character in him. We actually spoke to him after the semi-final against Mexico, and he said that he was determined. He'd put his body on the line if it came to it to get Brazil to win the World Cup.
Andreas Vaz then has responded to the provocation from Alexander Rodriguez. Both the Colombian player and the Brazilian have been given a 2-minute suspension, so they're out of the game for 2 minutes still. Brazil have to go 90 seconds without Kelvin, and as Simon correctly said, it's now 5 for Colombia against 4 outfield players for Brazil. So there should be an overload, which will be even more evident than it has been when it was 7v6.
And the drama is contributing to even more viewers for us, Patrick. 3.4 million and growing at the moment.
Come on, let's make sure we cross that 4 million threshold. We're not far away. Was that handball by Brazil? It wasn't. Excellent work from Lee Pao, just buying some vital seconds here with Kelvin still off the pitch. Brazil can't wait to get their captain and leader back on the pitch, and above all, their goal scorer. 3 goals in this final, yet another hat-trick from him, the standout performer in this Kings World Cup Nations, but it doesn't mean he'll necessarily win the competition. Pushed away by Barata. Colombia come again. He's managed to keep the ball despite slipping. That's a clever cross as well. There was no one on the end of it. A good vision from Axur Quintero.
Brian Gutierrez as well was in the middle. He didn't gamble quick enough, maybe didn't expect the ball from his teammate, but you feel that Colombia running out of time now. 45 seconds on that player suspension remaining. They will still have an extra man for about 30 seconds because of the suspension to Vaz and Alex Rodriguez a little bit earlier on. That's given away by Barata.
It is indeed, but Colombia can't make it count. Denilson Lebon goes down. That was an optimistic clearance there from Brazil. I think they were maybe going for goal. Denilson's gone down, but I'm sure his teammates will say to him, if you can play on, get up and play on, because the clock continues to tick down. And Simon, we're now 1 minute away from the 38-minute mark, and as things stand, unless Colombia score, goals would be worth double because it is not an even scoreline. Were it 3-3, then there would be a golden goal scenario.
And because of the time remaining, we know that Brazil either have a shootout or a penalty on their secret card because they still haven't played it, and they've got 30 seconds to play it, and there it is, Spotify secret card from Brazil, 100% penalty or the shootout.
And they have Kelvin Oliveira, who will be back on to take it, so presumably they're also waiting for his suspension to come to an end. Kelvin's back on. The effort, though, was a good one from Axur Quintero. It goes wide, and there is Gaules, Chris Geddes, and Ustejario. They're saying again their iconic celebration, da frio. It is going to be a penalty, and with this, Brazil could go 4-2 up, and it would also allow them to even concede in the final 2 minutes of play, and that would still lead to a 4-4 scoreline, which would take us to a shootout. 5 attempts per side, again dribbling from the midfield line, but Kelvin is going to have a chance to put them on the cusp of winning the Kings World Cup Nations here.
In many ways, it doesn't change much for Colombia. You have to say they would have had to score regardless. Had the score been 3-2 and they score, yes, they win, but regardless, they needed to score. But Kelvin, with his stutter penalties, which I'm sure you'll take us through, Patrick, he's been unstoppable from the spot.
He has. It's one for people with very sturdy nerves of steel, Kelvin Oliveira, because he waits, he delays, he slows his run up, and he just waits for the goalkeeper to commit himself before putting it in. We have seen goalkeepers get hands to his penalties. They haven't yet, though, kept them out, and this is to get Brazil so close to the finish line. 2 of the best players in the tournament so far go head-to-head. It is Kelvin Oliveira. And they are so close now to getting it done. Again, the ice-cool celebration from the ice-cool Kelvin Oliveira.
Straight down the middle it goes from Kelvin Oliveira. Fires home, fires true. Has he fired Brazil towards the first ever World Cup Nations title in Kings League? Colombia have 2 minutes to get 1 goal, which is what they need to do, but everyone down there in the Colombian camp is looking like they're just about to boil over. They need to keep their cool. Morocco didn't keep their cool against Colombia in the final 2 minutes, had 2 players sent off with sin-bin yellow cards, and that cost them.
Goals are now worth double because the scoreline is not even. It's Brazil 4, Colombia 2. Colombia needed to score a goal in the final 2 minutes of play, plus added time, in order to win the game. Prior to that penalty, it would have given them a 4-3 scoreline. Now they've conceded the penalty from Kelvin. They need to score to equalise and send the game to a shootout. If Brazil score, it's pretty much done. And Kelvin Oliveira, just to come back to his numbers again, he's now scored 18 goals in this competition, which have been worth 22 as part of Brazil's 35 all told. But the final 2 minutes of what has been a breathless tournament, the Kings World Cup Nations. It began in Milan on the first day of 2025. It will come to a close here at Allianz Stadium in Turin, where Brazil are so close to the finish line. But as we know, Simon, in this game, anything can happen, especially in the final 2 minutes. And immediately, Alejandro Ortega's deflected. Barata wasn't getting there, it's just a corner.
What a start to these last 2 minutes. Kelvin Oliveira, who's 9 goals clear from the second place player in the top scorers list, who is Nadir Lua.
Now, Ortega waiting to take the corner. Can Colombia score? Back it goes for Alexander Rodriguez. It's his ball in, it's off target. He's just served his 2-minute suspension. And surely it is a changing of the guard moment as well. Nadir Lua, the current Corona de Oro, has only scored half of the goals that Kelvin Oliveira, surely the next Corona de Oro, has managed in this tournament. And Brazil want to kill it off here. Kelvin giving chase. And was that a back pass by Denilson Lobon? It wasn't. We play on. Colombia in possession.
Colombia have got to throw caution to the wind here. It doesn't matter if you lose by more than 1 goal. Go for it now. Angelot Caro lacked the power.
He shifted it nicely there. It was he who scored that wonderful equaliser with the final kick of the first half. He's so gifted, the Colombian number 10, but Barata had a good look at that. And that's fine for Leleti. He won't mind that at all.
Brazil will try and waste every single second. It's
Lipao!
Lipao! Just over the crossbar there from Lipao. Corner.
Kelvin leading the way when it comes to our MVP vote via our Twitch users. A reminder, you only need to write the name of the player. It's that simple and you can vote. In comes the corner from Kelvin Oliveira. Colombia in transition, they've given it away. Here's Lipao using the overlapping run. Andres Vaz back on the pitch as well after his yellow card.
Yeah, but he's not strong enough there in the challenge. Andres Vaz, Lobon with a final touch. It's headed away here. Colombia moving in the wrong direction.
And we're now into added time as well, of which there will be 3 minutes. Colombia trail by 2. They need to score to force this game to a shootout. Brazil using every inch of the pitch, long by Barata, but straight to Camilo Mena. And now Colombia need to try and plot a route forward. They need to be methodical, but they also have to do it quickly. They're running out of time. Alexander Rodriguez. And they go backwards again, rather frustratingly. Camilo Mena now urged forward. They want to try and make the most of the overload by having the goalkeeper take a chance going up pitch. One though by Wembley. His was the last touch. Colombia throw.
It's going to be a long throw, looking for the head of Lobon.
In it comes towards Denilson Lobon, not cleared by Wembley. Angelot Caro underneath it. Had to be swept away this time by Lipao. Rodriguez now, cleverly done. Alejandro Ortega is giving it away. There's an empty net, provided he can finish. Surely it's going to be Kelvin once again.
Oh.
What a block that is.
It's exactly what Colombia wanted. They need to move quickly in the opposite direction. It's too slow from Colombia.
Luis Moreno saving the game, keeping it alive. Was that a foul by Denilson Lobon? I think the whistle's gone there. It is just a Colombia throw. They're still alive here. Colombia with all outfield players, there's no one in goal. Lipao, Kelvin Oliveira, that will do it! And of course it was him who put the game to bed. Gaules celebrates, so too do the Brazilians. And Kelvin has scored an incredible 5 goals tonight. It's now Brazil 6, Colombia 2.
The Brazilian presidents look like they're all crying together, huddled together. The last time Brazil won the Football World Cup was in 2002, and they are now cruising towards a win in the inaugural Kings League World Cup Nations.
It's done, says Kelvin with his celebration there. Tá fechado, it's closed, it's done. It's been put to bed by Kelvin Oliveira, the leading scorer in this competition. And now, believe it or not, he is one shy of 20 in this, just his 5th match. Scored in every single game from round 1 right through to the final here. And Brazil in the end just have had too much for Colombia, who certainly made the right move there. Going without a keeper, they had to take Camilo Mena off to try and get the overload, but in the end, Brazil, and one player in particular, has just shone brighter than anyone else. Brian Gutierrez, Rodriguez. They have to score twice in quick succession, Colombia. Angelo Caro wriggling away, there was a foul there. They're going to have the chance here, but we've played 3 added minutes. They're going to have to score and then hope the officials give them enough time to restart and then score again. But first and foremost, this has to go in.
It has to go in, but I think there will be at least 40 seconds because the Brazilians took their time with their celebration. So let's see, Angelo Caro has already scored what is perhaps the goal of the tournament. It has to be said. Can he come up with a second?
It's Alejandro Ortega stood over this, I think, along with Alexander Rodriguez. It is indeed. My money's on Ortega, who's already scored a stunning goal in this competition. We'd know if he scored because he'd go with the acrobatics. Ortega takes it short, couldn't find Brian Gutierrez, offside as well. There goes the full-time whistle, it's done! A nação do futebol! Brazil win, and Kelvin Oliveira stars in a 6-2 final victory over Colombia, the best team throughout this month of January at the Kings World Cup Nations. They make history by becoming the first ever country to win this new competition. Simon Harding, a word for os campeões, Brazil.
Simply too good, too creative, too clinical in the big... goals in the final. Kelvin Oliveira will be the man remembered here in Italy in 2025 for the Kings World Cup Nations.
The most valuable player for 5 matches in a row. Every game he has played in this competition, Kelvin has outscored everyone else. He's been voted the best player in all of those matches. He's going to get player of the tournament. He's surely a shoo-in for the Corona de Oro, the best player in the Kings League, and he's overcome by the emotion. So many of those Brazilian players are. They are players with faith. They believe throughout. Gaules said it, Chris Geddes has said it as well. Ustejario, they've all played their part with presidential penalties, and Gaules there acclaims his friend. A wonderful moment of amizade, friendship.
And I tell you what, Gaules had unerring, unwavering belief. We saw it, we heard it in his pre-match speeches, in the quarters and in the finals, and we actually spoke to him, Patrick, and he said, I had no doubt that we can win this. Brazil have done it, Brazil have delivered, and that's always the most difficult thing to do when you're the favourites, to go on and to deliver. Colombia pushed them close for a half, but then in the second, Brazil simply too good.
Eu falei que a gente ia voltar e a gente ia dar tudo. A gente já tinha dado tudo dentro de campo e não tinha sido suficiente. E eu falei, a gente vai voltar o quanto antes e a gente vai levar o que é nosso. E hoje é nosso, é seu, brasileiro, é seu essa porra!
There it is. We apologise for the bad language there from Gaules, but he said, I told you it would be ours, we would bring it home, and today it is yours, Brazil. But we've spoken so much about Kelvin Oliveira. Let's remember the supporting cast as well. The goalkeeper, Barata, João Pedro, the other shot stopper, plus Chefinho, Lipao, Leleti, Wembley, Wellington, Andreas Vaz, Davi, Shoku, Rufino, and Maicon as well. They've all played their part to a greater or lesser extent, and the coach as well, Vitor Veljovan Taubi. And it is also a great moment for Gaules because he came so close in the Club World Cup, and now it is redemption for him, defeated by Porcinos, but with his country, with his Brazil, he has now become a world champion.
And he's at the top of the pyramid now, Gaules. I think he was very clear in telling us, in explaining just how big Kings League football is, saying that it's only going to get bigger. This is the inaugural World Cup, Patrick, but we might see a World Cup with even more teams, with bigger stadiums, with bigger support. The inaugural one, the final sells out for almost 40,000 people, and the passion that's been on show, the players care so much about it. And Brazil, like they did very much in traditional football, shall we say, have set a marker in this type of football as well.
A word as well for the beaten finalists, Colombia, who impressed us so much throughout this competition. This final was just a step too far for them. We saw what they could do when Kelvin was off the pitch, but now we will begin the trophy ceremony to acclaim the champions, Brazil.
Si parte con il premio al miglior portiere del campionato, seguito dal titolo di top scorer assoluto e, infine, il titolo di MVP della finale di questa Kings World Cup Nations 2025. A consegnare i premi saranno il presidente della regione Piemonte, Alberto Cirio, il sindaco di Torino, Stefano Lorusso, e il fondatore, nonché presidente della Kings League, Gerard Piqué.
Il miglior portiere della Kings World Cup Nations 2025 è Camilo Mena.
3.5 million viewers, the record to beat all records during the Kings World Cup Nations. Camilo Mena, the best goalkeeper of the competition, goes up the steps to collect his reward.
Very hard to disagree with this decision as well. He kept Colombia in the game in the early stages. In the end, he was just unable to keep out Kelvin Oliveira, who scored all the goals for Brazil in the final, but highly respected. He gets his moment with Piqué as well. And Camilo Mena taking the best goalkeeper award. We also have the top scorer and the MVP awards to come, and you don't need a decree to know who's going to be recognised very shortly. But Camilo Mena has his moment, but for him, maybe Colombia don't make the final in the first place. They were so mean defensively. They only conceded one to Morocco in match day one. Nadir Loire et al. They only conceded two against Turkey, one against Uzbekistan and one against Morocco in the semis.
100%.
Top scorer assoluto e MVP della finale della Kings World Cup Nations 2025 è il brasiliano Kelvin Oliveira.
There he is, the crack himself, Kelvin Oliveira, came into this final with a scarcely believable 14 goals, which were worth 18 for Brazil. He added a further 5, which were worth a 6th as well in that 6-2 final victory. All the goals for him, 19 across 5 matches, 5 MVP awards from 5, and he also takes the player of the tournament as a whole.
I've got nothing to add to what you've just said, Patrick. I mean, it says it all. He was just so good. I think it makes it even better that he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice guy. He took the time to speak to us here on the English broadcast. He's so good. He's going to be the next Corona de Oro without a doubt, and he may dominate this type of Kings League football for years to come.
Kelvin recognised by Jake Paul and Gerard Piqué. I'm sure he will share these individual trophies with his teammates as well. All that leaves us to do now is present the trophy itself.
Ai nuovi campioni del mondo.
Brazil are the first ever winners of the Kings World Cup Nations. They've done it in style here, beating Colombia by 6 goals to 2 at Allianz Stadium. And all of those who weren't familiar with Kings League, I'm sure, Simon Harding, go away in love with this sport.
It's a sport that guarantees drama. I think the rules, yes, they're quirky. Some people, you know, they might have frowned on it when they first read about it. But what it does is that it guarantees a show as well. It's about putting on a show for the fans. It's the fans themselves who decided on these rules. So you can't argue with what people want to watch, whether it's the president penalties, whether it's the secret cards that add a little touch of the unknown to the game. It's been great. And I have to say that one of the things that Brazil have done best as well is navigate those rules, use the tools at their disposal to get to the win.
They are going to enjoy their evening in Turin, that's for sure. Chris Gates, Gaules and Ustajario. Who knows whether the intern, the trainee, will now be upgraded to a slightly loftier title. But so many celebrities in to see this. The likes of McKennie and Copenhagen's yielded to Gerard Piqué, who made this all possible by devising the format in the first place. A word on Zlatan Ibrahimovic as well, who's going to be the first ever president of the Kings League Italy, which is getting started very soon. But Kelvin Oliveira is the poster boy for this tournament, and Brazil are the name which will be etched onto that trophy. And very shortly, Kelvin is going to lift that piece of silverware aloft.
A little bit unbearable for some of the Colombian players who are heading down the tunnel already. We tried to get a word in on them before. We'll have to do it after the trophy.
Gaules is ready. Gerard Piqué ready to hand over the goods. The moment has nearly arrived. The anticipation is over. And Brazil are officially the champions of the Kings World Cup Nations. Parabéns, congratulations to the Canarinha, the Seleção. Let's reflect on this tournament as a whole, Simon. We were new to the format. We very quickly tried to get to grips with the rules, but I, for one, have been enchanted and dazzled and amazed by some of the ability on show, and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
It's been great fun, and I think that's all you want, you know, when you can have fun in these sort of situations. You enjoy it, you soak it in, and that's the best that you can do. Brazil have also been entertaining. It's been entertainment from start to finish. So we're very, very privileged to be here, to be able to witness it. And again, the amount of interest we've seen has demonstrated that this is perhaps the future as well.
It is indeed. All the players getting their moment with the trophy now. And they did it by beating Colombia by 6 goals to 2. Here's the best of the action.